Okay guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. So, in today's video, we are going to be going over the Anel cover story and the hidden messages behind it, okay? So here's what we're going to do. First of all, I'm going to give a quick summary just in case anybody doesn't know about it. Then we're going to go through the breakdown. There's going to be timestamps in the browser and also in the description and all that if you already know what's happening. Yeah. So let's get into it. Okay. So first of all, this picks off right at the end of Skypiea. We got Nell flying to the it says fairy verth in this translation. It should be endless verth from my understanding. But I don't know. What do I know? Maybe that's like the more correct. So he's in his big ship, whatever. He's going to the moon, you know. So he's there. You know, he's like, you know, doing his thing. He goes to this hole. Okay, he sees this collapsed guy. Attacks first, thinks later, right? So just completely incinerates this guy. Dude salutes. Bro is like in his custody. It's a shame though, according to Anel. Anel follows him for a bit. His name's Lieutenant Spacey, and he ran away from the enemy. All of his friends are dead, or they're not dead because it's One Piece, but they're injured. Dude shows up. It's the space pirate, and then this guy gets stabbed. The space pirate tries to hit a Logia and fails, obviously. Gets one tapped. And then a big explosion happens in the background. And Nell's pissed. You see more space pirates. They're excavating some ruins. Anel shows up. They say, "Whoa, look at that." Then we got the backstory of Lieutenant Spacey. He's born on some island with some old guy. He's a robot. Old guy's watching the moon, and these are his buddies. Explosion happens on the moon. Old guy dies because he choked on a dumpling. They use balloons to get to the moon. They try to fight the space pirates, but then they get washed. All right, Anel is just like destroying everything. You know, whatever. Zero difficulty here. Spacey's thanking him. Gets attacked again, just because. Sees the ruins, goes in. We get to see these big ruins. He attacks the city. It powers the whole thing. And then there's a bunch of these guys who apparently were made by this ancient civilization somehow independently. There's some ancient ruins. Obviously, we're gonna get into that later. And more of this. Oh, we got a name for the city. It was lacking natural resources, so they dipped. And he has an army. And there you go. Okay, guys. So now that we're done with the recap, with the summary, what do we think Oda's trying to tell us with this story, right? What is it trying to represent? So I'm gonna argue that this story is essentially about the cost of war, right? So if we look at the story, right, the doctor dies, and then the robots come to the moon, they attack the pirates, and get wiped out, right? But if we go to the top and see what happens here, right, the space pirates come back just to kill this guy, right? There's no reason to do this. Pirates have already been defeated. He just wanted to make sure the threat was out. And then he attacks Anel, who wasn't even a threat before, right? This shows the cost of war and the need for both sides to kind of protect themselves, right? Because the pirates just seem to be excavating a ruin. I mean, they're basically just archaeologists, right? And these guys are just trying to avenge their dead doctor, who these guys indirectly killed. Both sides are kind of justified. So now, where does Anel come into this? Well, basically, all that Anel ever does is just attack things randomly. And that's about it, right? Attacks this guy. Attacks the space pirates. Attacks the city later on, right? So what can we kind of learn from this, right? Well, we could probably, if we're saying this is about war, Onel is kind of almost like a force of nature, almost like just attacks things at random, like a stage hazard. You can kind of think of it as, right, from Smash. So anyway, I mean, even it attacks these guys just like for no reason, and then builds up an army. So what's interesting is, right, this technology, right, that was dormant forever. These robots which are somehow the same as the other ones. And then this ancient history is unveiled all through battle, right? So what is this kind of, what's Oda trying to tell us, right? Well, I think Oda's trying to tell us that war is both often not really necessarily good guys versus bad guys, but more just people fighting for their own reasons that are somewhat justifiable. But it also shows us the power gained from war, the technological advancements. Anel, from pointless battle, Anel creates a massive army, unearths ancient secrets, and then is just one of the most powerful people already, right? Like, even in all of like the One Piece world, right? So I think what Oda's trying to portray to us is that war is suffering. War, there's a lot of death and suffering, and it's not worth it, and often quite pointless. But with it, it comes advancements and technologies, right? And this actually works with the normal story of One Piece, with the Straw Hats, right? Because if you think about it, the Straw Hats are just traveling the seas, fighting people and trying to get stronger, right? Essentially, Luffy can be considered a force of nature as well, in the sense that he just goes around picking fights with people he doesn't like, right? Luffy is essentially a Nell in this situation. Oftentimes, like, for instance, if you look at the story, obviously a lot of the villains in One Piece are just evil. But, for instance, I would argue Crocodile. I would argue, like, villains like that, right? Like Crocodile, arguably Big Mom. They're really not all that bad, or they're pretty bad. They do bad things, but they have good reasons behind it, right? So if you look at the space pirates, yeah, they were killing those robots for no reason, but they were attacked first. But it seems like they have a righteous cause of excavating the ruins and trying to find secrets. Now, we know nothing about these guys, so this might all be wrong, but it's reasonable to assume that these guys aren't necessarily bad people. And we're seeing in the modern story how Skypiea is kind of a jumping, like a foreshadowing for lots of the series, like how Enel is probably going to be a stand-in for Emu and all that. So with Enel's cover story, it's logical to see that Oda is doing something that kind of portrays all of the, like, the main themes of One Piece, right? All kind, where Anel is almost kind of the Luffy character, but like it more like an evil, twisted version of him. So I just thought that was interesting. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of that. Okay, bye.